Hey everybody, in this video I am going to be discussing the 25 cognitive biases and how to use them in your life and in business. Uh, this is really powerful. You can use this to uh, get more sales and entice people to do things. This is a real life superpower that you'll be able to use. So let's go over the first one, which is reward and punishment super response tendency. Definition: people want incentives and don't want disincentives. They want rewards. People don't want punishments. People, if you are able to give them what they want or something, or you're able to give them a chance to win something that they want, they're more likely to do that thing. Example: your kid won't do his or her work, so you offer them a reward for finishing their work. This is an incentive. Uh, Example two is your kid isn't behaving, so you tell them you'll give them a timeout if they don't be good. This is a disincentive. So example one is an example of an award. Example two is an example of a punishment, and you can use this in marketing. A great example of this is a freebie. That's a reward, you know. And people use that all the time. So it's honestly one of the most common cognitive biases used. Example three: in sales, you want to tell the prospect what you gain from your product and what they'll lose if they don't purchase. So this is kind of how you can frame it. It's kind of framing your product to be kind of like a reward. If they get it, they'll be rewarded with something, and if they don't get it, they'll be punished with something. Okay, next one: liking and loving tendency. Definition: people will ignore faults and flaws of other people they like, love, and or trust. Uh, so in marketing, you want to build up trust through content and or direct conversations so that they feel more inclined to purchase from you. Make yourself more relatable through stories and opening up who you are. So people will come to know and like and trust you through relatability, through them seeing them and you. And and to do that, you need to open up. You need to tell stories and be transparent. You know, really, really powerful because when people like and love you, that alone can push somebody through, push somebody to purchase something. Very, very powerful, very important in marketing. Disliking and hating tendency. So this is kind of the opposite of this. When somebody doesn't like something, people will ignore stuff coming from people they dislike or hate. We dislike and distort facts that come from people we dislike. Example: the President Trump states a fact on Twitter, and many will immediately disregard what he says because they don't like him. And this is, of course, Trump isn't the president anymore, but this would have been when he was the president. This would have been a good example. In marketing and sales, you want to be likable. Don't be cocky and rude. Treat people like you want to be treated. This is very important because this can mess up your sales. So knowing this tendency exists, you want to try to be likable, and you can also use this to your advantage. Maybe if you know something about your customers, even though they don't like something, you can use that to kind of like push somebody away from another offer or a competing offer. So that's one way you can use that. Doubt avoidance tendency. Doubt/avoidance tendency. People will make quick, ill-informed decisions if they are unsure about a decision. So, an example, I personally have bought, and this is a personal example, I've bought a course without truly understanding if it was something I'd want to do. To remove the doubt that I had about this course, I decided to simply purchase the course because I wanted to avoid the pain that comes with being unsure. I was at that point in my life where I'm like, I don't want to be unsure. I hate feeling this way. It's paining me to feel this kind of way. So I'm just going to purchase this course, and maybe that'll fix that. Even though I didn't really think about it, it ended up being a terrible purchase. We don't want to be stressed out with a decision, so we make a hasty decision, justifying it as the best option at the moment in our minds. This can also be called urgency. So, yeah, people, we don't like feeling pain, so we'll try to avoid it. So, next one, inconsistency, avoidance, tendency. People have a reluctance to change. Eliminating bad habits is a rare trait. It's hard to change bad habits. It's unnatural, you could say. And the older you get, the harder it becomes to unlearn those habits. It's hard to cheat an old dog new tricks. An example, many people would like to quit smoking, but only a small percentage will be successful after many attempts. In sales, get your prospects to keep saying the word yes. The more they agree with you, the more probable they will buy the high ticket price you're offering. In life, we want to learn to adapt. Things that can't adapt won't survive in the long run. So, to kind of, explain this completely, we want to, we like to be consistent, so, changing a habit, we don't want to change. I mean, once we kind of dig our hole, we want to keep digging effectively. That's how I describe this. Curiosity, tendency. People want to know what they don't know. People want to know what they don't know. Curiosity killed the cat. In sales and marketing, you can drive curiosity into your prospects' minds by stating vague or big claims, like I have a proven system to increase your sales by 50% through digital marketing. People will feel more inclined to check out your offer, because they're like, whoa, what exactly are you talking about? Like, how can you do that? This is very powerful. You should definitely use curiosity, especially if you're doing something like affiliate marketing, where if you're telling people the offer, people could just go and search up the offer themselves, and you can miss out on the sale. But if you use curiosity, then they have to click on your link to figure out what it is. And they're more likely to click on your link because they're curious to know what exactly it is. Sorry, I'm not sure. Everybody know how to pronounce this. Kantian fairness tendency. Kantian, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Kantian. People want life to be fair. So I can't remember who the man name is. I think his last name is like Cantinian something, but it's based off a man who had this philosophy. Um, Life isn't fair, but many can't accept this. Tolerating a little unfairness should be okay if it means a greater fairness for all. Let's quote. Example. The example Munger uses in his book is letting in other drivers on the freeway knowing they will reciprocate in the future. Life is not always fair, and to expect it to be fair, expecting it to be so is to give space to frustration and many other negative emotions. Once these once these emotions creep inside us, it adversely affects our personality, impacting our emotional and mental health aspects. Another quote from Charlie: "The craving for perfection, for perfect fairness causes a lot of problems in system function. Some functions should be made deliberately unfair to individuals because they'll be fair on average to all of us." So effectively, people just they want to be treated fairly, and people don't like to see things that are unfair. Um, um, this kind of goes back to kind of just in general, people um, will see themselves in other situations, and you know will not want to, and will take action on that. So the way you could use this in marketing would be uh, essentially how you would frame something. So it's so many ways, examples you could probably use, but something like, I don't know, if they're trying to like sell like environmental products, you could say like, you could make an argument that this is fair for the earth or something. I don't know, but you know, and that would trigger this tendency. So yeah, envy, jealousy, tendency. People are afraid of being left behind. Keeping up with the Joneses is essentially what this is. It is basically scarcity, very powerful tendency or bias. Example, in marketing, sales and marketing, you could show your prospects that their competitors are using the same product/service that you're selling and show them how well they are doing because of that product. People don't want to be left behind in life. If they see somebody else, especially if they're similar to them, you know, they could see themselves in them and they see them doing well. That will trigger this emotional response, this bias. Reciprocity, reciprocity. Oh my God, why can't I pronounce this? Reciprocation. Reciprocation. You get it. Reciprocation tendency. Essentially reciprocity. Okay. People will treat you the way you treat them. Yes. So treat people well, and they'll treat you they're more likely to treat you well as well. In marketing and sales, spending more time to help people out or give them something for free will open up a relationship where people feel like they owe you. So this is another really powerful. So this kind of goes back, it's very similar to the other one here. Where is it? It's very similar to um, it's kind of similar to the Kantian fairness, but it's also very similar to the reward bias here. So reward one, the first one. Because if you award them, well, it's similar to that. Because if you award them, they will feel inclined to reward you. Okay. Influence from mere association tendency. People will trust something with a connection to something they trust. So we can be easily manipulated by mere association. It could be a group of people, the quality of a product, advertising, etc. Example would be Nike uses celebrities to help boost their image in the sportswear industry. People will think they can perform just as good as a popular athlete if they're wearing Nike. If wearing Nike, if they Nike. What? If they wear Nike. In sales and marketing, connecting yourself and or your product to a trusted / well-known figure or brand will benefit from this tendency. So, yeah. So, if for how I use this is essentially to leverage authority. So, if I don't know something, but I know that somebody else knows it, or if I feel like maybe I don't know, maybe I'm talking about something where I don't completely know about the subject, I can just say, hey, I may not be a complete authority on this subject, but this person where I'm getting this information is. Okay? Leverage their authority. And, that's how you can use this tendency. Simple pain avoiding psychological denial. Deaf. People don't like pain and will avoid it at all costs. So we've seen this in other tendencies, but this is that tendency in its entirety. We have a bad habit of distorting facts until they become bearable for our own views. An example would be a mother gets told her son just died while serving in the military, but refuses to believe it. People can actually warp stuff like that in their mind, warp reality. In sales and marketing, making an effort to identify pain points can help persuade a person to take action on an offer or solution. So this is why it's important to do relationship building and to do content, or create content, addressing these pain points, because this is a really powerful thing to do. Address people's pains and give them a solution to solving that. Okay. So, exclusive self-regarding tendency. The natural tendency to overstate your own abilities. Excessive self-regard tendency. Okay. So, we all think we're above average. This is where overconfidence comes from. Okay. An example: the story of the tortoise and the hare. The hare was so confident he'd win, he lost. Charlie Munger says the greatest type of pride should be taking pride in being trustworthy to avoid developing an ego. In sales, in marketing and sales, we can use this tendency to catch people's attention. Above average people watch this, okay, as an example. And increase the chance of the purchase, and this will increase the chance of the purchase. By telling people they are special and or that that something is meant for them, it will trigger an emotional response and make the person want to buy or check out your offer. Over optimism tendency. Excessive or unjustifiable optimism. Over optimism bias usually shows that excess optimism is the normal human condition. You want to always be balanced in your judgment, right? So excessive optimism can cause us to ignore information that goes against what we believe. For example, the course you want to buy is teaching a faulty method or business model, but instead you ignore the facts and purchase it anyway because you believe you can make it work. You're optimistic. You're very optimistic. And, I was very much like this, very naive in my thinking, and that optimism kind of murkied my thoughts, and made me make decisions that were not good. So, when it comes to, you want to be balanced. You want to be. I'm not saying you don't want to be pessimistic, but at the same time, you want to know. You want to be balanced in your judgment. You want to know the cons. You want to know the pros. Next one: deprival superreaction tendency. Loss aversion refers to people's tendency to strongly prefer avoiding losses to acquiring gains. Most studies suggest that losses are twice as powerful psychologically as gains. Example: if someone had the option of picking to lose $100 or gaining 100, most will pick the former. Meaning, most will choose to just keep their 100, rather than lose. Okay. In sales and marketing, you want to tell people what they'll lose versus what they'll gain, because more people, that fear is going to trigger a bigger response than reward. Social proof tendency. It is automatic tendency to think and act as others around us think or act. It is basically groupthink. Example: everyone thinks something is good, you'll likely think it's good too. In sales and marketing, you want to have social proof, reviews, testimonials, etc. So, yeah. Contrast, misreaction tendency. Our problem here is a misunderstanding of comparisons and missing out on magnitude of decisions. It is better to evaluate people and objects by themselves and not by their contrast. Okay, an example: contrast misreaction tendency is routinely used to cause disadvantage for a customer, making an ordinary price seem low. A vendor will frequently create a highly artificial price that is much higher than the price that's always sought, then advertise the standard price as a big reduction from his phony price. An apple may sell usually for $10, but putting it on sale at 15 for 10 for $10 uh, will make the apple seem more valuable. So the apple usually sells for 10, but it's actually it triggers a more emotional response to have the ordinary price be 15 and then put it on sale at $10. Now, the apple should probably already be priced at 10, but it's better. People take more attention to that. People give more attention to that. So in sales and marketing, contrasting your offer next to something else that is supposedly less valuable will increase the valuableness of your offer. We often notice value by contrasting something else. Combining this with other biases like reward bias, scarcity, or urgency bias will sell very well. Very well, because people already are being influenced by reward, and then now you have also scarcity and urgency. It's like it's like a stuffed, like all the layers of a really good burger just being put together to make a really good burger. All the ingredients to make a really good burger being put together. That's what that would be. So next one, stress influence tendency. Adrenaline tends to produce faster and more extreme reactions. Some stress can improve performers, but heavy stress often leads to dysfunction. Example: a lot of stress can be healthy to get stuff done. For example, Steve Jobs pushed his team enormously at high level to get where Apple is today. But too much stress can also lead to depression and hasty decision making. In sales, this can be used to get a prospect to think with their emotional side rather than their logical side. People make sales with their emotional side, and they justify it with the logic. So stress and influence tendency. That's what that is. Availability misweighing tendency. People like what's easily gotten and available. Many will simply take what's right in front of them rather than search for a possible better option. For example, if a product is ranking at the top of Google search term, most will simply just click on that first couple of links presented to them. They will most people will not go past the first three options, and many less will go on the second page of Google. We overweigh what's easily we overweigh what's easily available. We overweigh what's easily available. A checklist. I'm not a best speller. Okay, checklist. A checklist or a set of rules can help with this tendency. So this is a way. This is why things like flyers, door to door, and drop shipping still work, because people, they're gonna go with the option in front of them. A lot of people, drop shippers, they'll compare themselves to Amazon. Like, I'm not supposed to compete with Amazon, but if you got a good offer right in front of people, like, sure, they could go to Amazon and search it up and try to find it, but you're right. You're right there with the offer, with the product. Especially if you're adding in bonuses and using other biases. I mean, boom, there you go. You got yourself an offer. Use it or lose it tendency. Definition: people want to keep the skills they have. Too many learn a skill to simply cram for a test or presentation instead of trying to actually understand it fluently. Example: if you don't want to practice a language, you will lose that language. If you don't invest your money, you will lose your money. So people don't want to lose something, so they will take action to not lose it. Okay, drug misinfluence tendency. Drug misinfluence tendency. People get addicted to pleasurable things like drugs, social media, etc. Example: let's say a young teenager finally discovers what pornography is and starts watching it all throughout his teens. Fast forward 30 years, married, has kids, still watches pornography because it became a negative habit. In marketing, creating a pleasurable experience will get people to keep coming back. Think social media, likes, views, getting high, etc. It's dopamine releases. It's getting people pleasurable. Creating that pleasure will get people to want to get that pleasure again. Okay. Cynicism, misinformation tendency. Cynicism, misinfluence tendency. Death. Definition: as we age, there is a natural loss of certain skills and abilities. Continuous thinking and learning helps to slow the decay. Example: our brains want to conserve energy. Older people naturally start losing their wisdom as they age, but Obviously, if they continuously educate themselves, they'll slow down the process. This is why older people and very young people are easier to sell to. So essentially, people will certain older people and very young people will. Well, it's very similar to the last with this one, availability. People just go with the first option available to them. They don't want to think too much about it. So, that's what makes selling to older people and very young people very much easier because they're not that, young people, they're not that much developed, and older people, they're kind of starting on their mental state starting to decline. So they want to, and our brains want to naturally conserve energy, so we're not going to think too much about it. So, and that makes this one really powerful. Authority and misinfluence tendency. Authority and misinfluence tendency. Following orders just because someone says so. So, living in dominant hierarchies as he does, man has been born mostly to follow leaders, with only a few people doing the leading. And so human society is formally organized into dominance hierarchies. Example, consult the jewel maker about jewels, and consult the brick maker about bricks. If the king orders, people will follow. So people are, followers. There aren't that many people that lead. So people will follow an authority, and this is very similar to that other one. Where is it? The social proof element. Was it social proof? It's similar to social proof. But there's another one I'm thinking of that's very similar to. Where is it? So, yeah, this one, influenced by mere association tendency. So, this one's a little bit different because this is people kind of one's is comparing you to one, and one is you being that already established. Okay. Twaddle tendency. Okay. So, definition, this is basically spending too much time on nonsense. People wasting time on things like TV, music, drugs, etc. People don't want wasting time to become a habit. Rather, you don't want your time to become, your time wasting time to become a habit. Rather, spend your time building up habits that will give you the life you want. So, you don't want to get in the habit of just, you know, watching TV after work, and you don't want to get in the habit of drinking every day and, smoking every day. It's like these habits will destroy your productivity and keep you from the things that you want to get to. Respecting tendency. Definition: people respect your reason without need of further explanation. The reason doesn't need to be good most of the time. So, an example: if you're skipping through a line, and you give a reason like "my wife is pregnant," people will respect that without needing proof or an explanation. In life and business, you can use this tendency to justify certain actions or behaviors, like if you're promoting on social media. So, like if you're doing a giveaway, you can give, just a good enough reason for doing that giveaway, and yeah, people respect it. If you're promoting, you could say you're promoting something on social media. You could say it's a new product that I found out I liked, or it's on sale or whatever. Just give a reason, and people respect that. And I don't mean to say that because say that you should that your audience is afraid of people don't like you to sell to them, because if you're building your audience the right way, you know you know you know they should be made to be buyers. you know you don't want just a bunch of freebie seekers, or people that aren't willing to pay you anything. But giving a reason kind of just helps build up that it strengthens your sales. Okay. Lollapalooza tendency. So the tendency to get extreme confluence of psychological tendencies acting in favor of a particular outcome. It is essentially a mixture of different biases. So this is by far the most powerful one. Is just mixing all these biases together so that it just combines together and just creates a massive reaction for people when they see your offer or your product. Many marketers like 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐋𝐀𝐈𝐌𝐄𝐑 use the Lollapalooza effect in their ads. 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐋𝐀𝐈𝐌𝐄𝐑 he's been known to use a checklist when he records himself to make sure he's using all the different biases. And bonus, anchoring effect. So people like to stick to the first piece of information they hear. Example, the employee says he or she would like 25 hour, the $35 an hour before the employer makes an offer. As a result, the rate will usually set the range of how low both parties are willing to go now. Similar to contrast misreaction tendency. In life or business, you can use this to get a higher salary or a higher retainer of a client. So, yeah, that right there is the 25 cognitive biases. I'm going to leave this document below. You can check it out. Yeah, and use this in your marketing. It will definitely help you get more sales. Thanks for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe. I guess if you, I will be putting more content on this YouTube channel. And yeah, remember to take action. See you in the next one. Peace.